Hi, I'm Kristin Shorter. I'm a level 4 human design specialist and a family coach. And I have 3 kids of my own. I have been a parent. My daughter's 19 now. Been a parent for 19 years, and I get that one size does not fit all for all of our kids. And what works for one child doesn't always work for every child. And so I have very different children and a very cohesive family. We have learned how to communicate with each other and how to support each other. And one of the techniques that we use, which I'm going to share with y'all, is understanding our emotions. You know, when you understand your emotions, that's whenever you can really talk about them with other people. This is so interesting. I was just telling my kids, wow, this is so exciting. I'm just like, the pandemic, it's scary, but now I'm like, I feel safe because we're all together. And so I just feel like, wow, this is exciting. Nothing like this has ever happened in my lifetime or my parents' lifetime or my parents' parents' lifetime. It's new. We don't know what is going on. And, and just so many changes are happening. Um, let's see. And one of the things that we can really support our kids in is understanding and teaching them about their emotions, because they've really had their entire schedule flipped upside down on its head. They can't connect with their friends in person anymore. They can't see their teachers anymore. They're not going to school anymore. They can't even go to I don't let my kids go to the grocery store. I'm doing curbside pickup. We're all staying in the car. We get home. As soon as we get home, we're washing our hands. And it's very new. And it's very interesting because no one kind of knows what is going on. And so right now, more than ever, our kids need us, the parents, to be their rock, to let them know it's going to be okay. And in order to do that, parents, we have to maintain the correct mindset in order to do that. Well, that's not that's not easy, right? But that's what the situation calls for. And so you have to make sure that you're getting enough rest, that you're eating right, that you're getting the exercise that you need to maintain the mentality that your child needs you to have, the mindset that your kids need you to have, so that you can be the consistent and security and the safety that your kids are looking for during this time. And one of the things that I want to talk about is expectations. Whenever your kids don't have the language or the vocabulary to talk about what's going on with them, they start acting out. And when they act out, it is a form of communication. And all communication has a positive intent. So all communication has a positive intent. And we all want to understand that going in, because our kids are going to be acting out. They're going to be jumping around. They might have anxiety. They might have ADD. They might have other issues going on. They might just be stressed out or frustrated that they can't see their friends or go outside the way that they want to, or ride around and play with their friends, or go with mom when she goes to the grocery store. They are, so if you are expecting a little bit of them to act out a little bit, then you can be prepared for it and understand that this behavior has a positive intent. They are struggling with the words, they're struggling with their emotions, all the things that are going on inside them. They're seeing their heroes being scared, and that's having an impact on them also. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about is whenever we have a particular negative behavior that repeats over and over again, like it might be ADD, or it might be anxiety, or it might be, you have a fear of something. What tends to happen is we are really harsh on ourselves. and we kind of criticize ourselves for those negative or those the certain behaviors that we exhibit. And whenever we can understand and meet those behaviors with appreciation, and that's what I want to talk about today, is when we learn how to do this for ourselves, we can do it for our kids. And if you have, or you see your kids having, or maybe even you have a behavior that you want to change, first and foremost, it's not going to change if you blame yourself, if you're hard and criticize yourself, if you are being harsh with yourself. That isn't going to promote change. First, what we have to do is we have to understand that this behavior is serving us in some way. And we want to connect with that behavior or connect with that part of ourselves that's creating that behavior and ask that part of ourselves, what is your positive intent? You know, I know that this behavior is helping me in some way. It's behavior there are three reasons that we exhibit these things. It's either to protect us, to provide for us, or to prevent something. And so we want to ask that emotion or that behavior, what is your positive intent? Because I know that you don't want to hurt me. I know that you don't want me to have anxiety. I know that you don't want me to get upset all the time or be emotional all the time and not be able to enjoy emotions or enjoy certain activities. And as we connect with that part of ourselves, we can understand, oh, it's trying to protect me. What's it trying to protect me from? And then we can go from there. And so one of the things that I'm going to teach how to do today is you can journal, you can talk to yourself, you can record yourself, you can look at yourself in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself, and you can teach your kids to do this too. But first it starts with the parents, right? Is to ask, hey, what is this behavior's positive intent? Is its intent to help me, protect me? Is its intent to give me something or provide something for me? And as you begin to talk to that you get this information. You know, in human design, the solar plexus is one of the three awareness centers. And so emotions are there to make you more aware and to give you information and messages. And whenever we numb ourselves out and we are overwhelmed or burnt out and we just kind of shut down our emotions, we turn to other substances. It might be food, it might be drinking, it might be smoking, it could be, you know, a number of things. It could be just vegging out watching TV and becoming a couch potato and procrastinating a lot. It can be more serious than that. But those are ways that we're trying, but all of those behaviors have a positive intent of trying to protect us. And so whenever we can look at what the positive intent is, we can meet it with understanding and appreciate that behavior for what it's providing for us. Maybe my slides are back up, so I want to follow along with my slides so this will be more concise. You know, these are exciting and interesting times that we're living in. This is something that our parents haven't probably been through or lived through, and it's impacting our life as we know it, and our world, our livelihood, our country, our society, our family, and our children's. And we're being asked to stay home while schools and businesses close, and some of us have lost our jobs or will lose our jobs over the next few months or weeks even. And it's impacting us on a global level. It's not just one country experiencing this. We're all going through this together. And while the government and scientists are searching for a cure and ways to keep us safe, it's our job as parents to keep our families safe, our children safe. And in these times of some uncertainty, it's very important that we hold the correct mindset for our kids who are also experiencing anxiety because their routine has been turned upside down. They miss their friends, their teachers, they miss their schedule, and they're worried about the people who are getting sick or who will get sick, or maybe they're worried about the finances that are happening inside their home. the financial instability that's happening on a global level. And so my intention today with this presentation is to give you the tools that you can use with your family today to support you through this time. And that means knowing how to talk to your child about their emotions and teaching them to understand that these messages, there are messages contained in our emotions. And when you teach them the message, you also teach them to enjoy their emotions. Yes, even the anxiety, you can appreciate it and learn to enjoy it. And that really empowers your children and makes them capable, especially during uncertain times like these. When we as parents are prepared, we can deal with whatever struggles our kids face. So we're going to get clear about what to expect, so in order to get clear about what to expect, think about how your kids typically handle stress and interruptions to their routine. You know, some kids have a completely different temperament. Some will just shut down. Others just go with the flow, you know? And so understanding your child and their temperament and how they typically handle stress is going to support you to understand, okay, this is the expectation and this is where we're going to meet that at. When we understand that our kids are going to act out in order to deal with what's going on inside them, we can use this as an opportunity to teach them how to deal with their emotions. And in order for us as parents to be prepared, we have to maintain the correct mindset. And that is the job of every parent right now. You know, our kids are looking to you for security and safety and consistency. Let them find that in you. You can show them that you're scared, but you don't show them that when you're scared, you go into worry. Instead, you exemplify bravery, and you show them that when you're scared, it means that you need to prepare for something and start figuring out what you can do in order to be prepared as you can be. Now, as you already know, maintaining a mindset, you have to be practicing self-care. You know, you have to be taking great care of yourself, especially in these times, in order to have the energy to maintain the correct mindset for you and your children, for your family. And so now that you know, you need to be clear about the expectations that are going to be coming with your children and kind of how they're going to handle all of these changes, and also how to hold the correct mindset. Let's talk about why kids act out. Well, first, the reasons kids act out are they're struggling with their emotions. Okay? They're scared. They don't feel safe. They don't know how to trust someone, or maybe they don't have anything that they can hold on to and trust. You know, when your schedule is kind of consistent, that gives a level of foundation that supports them. Whenever that kind of gets uprooted, they start wondering, what can I trust? And then they start feeling powerless. You know, kids act out because they don't know what to do. It might be a physical need. They might be hungry or tired. If they're like my kids, they kind of got a little break before we did online school, and so their sleep schedule kind of got messed up. Your kid might be feeling stressed and frustrated. And so using this time to find appropriate ways to communicate and get their needs met is really going to support your children for handling other situations in the future. And this is the perfect time because most parents are home with their kids. You know, you actually have the time to be able to be with your children and show them how this is done. And we're going to talk about that. And so y'all are completely prepared to support your children after today's show. Now, this is really important to understand because it helps us understand that all behavior has a positive intent. You know, when people are struggling with a particular behavior, it could be anxiety, it could be ADHD, it could be stress, it could be, you know, pressure from work or other situations. They're often harsh on themselves for having that behavior. And as you probably figured out, blaming does not work, okay? Blaming and criticizing and judging yourself does not help. What does help is understanding that problem, that reaction that you have actually has a positive intent. And there are 3 positive intents that all behavior has, okay? It is either to protect you, to prevent something, or to provide for you, okay? To protect you, to prevent, or to provide. And only when you understand that behavior and meet it with understanding will you be able to change that behavior. And that's what we're going to be teaching our kids, is how to meet these behaviors and these emotions with understanding. So we want to teach our kids to appreciate emotions, all the emotions that they're having, even if it's fear, even if it's really big, even if it's anxiety. We want to teach our children that all of that is helping us be more aware. And that awareness is giving us a message. And what is the message? What message is this emotion giving us? And in human design, the solar plexus is one of the 3 awareness centers. And our emotions are a gateway to awareness. And I just want to share a brief story about how after I got divorced in 2009, I was paralyzed by my emotions. I was afraid. I was angry. I was guilty. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to do or how to do it or what I was going to do. I didn't have a plan. And I turned to food to suppress my emotions, to avoid dealing with the pain that I was feeling. And that made me become a shell of this happy, caring, kind mom that I was when I first became a parent. And the more that I ignored my emotions, the more intense they became. And I wasn't being the role model that my kids needed me to be in order to learn how to navigate their own emotions as they go through different life stages. And eventually I realized that emotions are a gift and a support system that I have within me. And I quit thinking about emotions as negative, and I began understanding their message to me. And those messages were telling me that what I was doing was not working, okay? One of the most common struggles we face as parents is dealing with our emotions, especially overwhelm and burnout, right? And when you can appreciate your emotions and see the value and the support that they're giving you, you stop avoiding them. You stop numbing yourself out, and you learn to welcome the message they bring you and what you can learn from them, okay? And if you're currently overwhelmed by daily life stressors, if you're drained emotionally to the point that you don't have anything left to give your rascals, if you're using food or other substances to avoid and suppress your emotions because you feel stuck, you feel helpless, or you just want to numb yourself out, you're probably disappointed in the quality of your relationships. And you're teaching your child how to go into avoidance instead of being capable and going into a solution, okay? And believe me, I've been there, okay? I've taught my kids how to do that too. I've taught my kids how to avoid. That's all that I could do at that point. But I want to talk about a new way, a different way. And so here's what we're going to do first. We're going to start with a deep appreciation for our emotions and all the awareness we have because of our emotions. And what I like to do, or what me and my kids do, is we take deep breaths in through our heart. We start breathing through our heart. Deep breath in and a deep breath out. And as we start doing that, then we start talking and asking our emotions, what message do you have for me? You can journal. You can talk out loud. You can talk with your kids. You can go, if you're helping your kids do this, you can do it by yourself. You can record your conversation. You can look in the mirror when you're talking to yourself. But the intent of the conversation is to appreciate and to understand the messages that we've been ignoring, okay? Now remember, we have 3 reasons that a problem behavior will persist. We're not meeting it with understanding. We're not meeting it with appreciation. And we're not understanding that it's trying to either protect us, prevent something, or provide for us, okay? And here's a little secret about emotions. Each emotion has a very, if not the same, but a similar message for everyone. And I want to go over what those messages are so you can support your kids when they experience the emotion. So we're going to start with the most common emotion that probably the world is experiencing right now, fear. Okay? If you or your children are experiencing fear and you meet that fear with understanding and appreciation and you ask it, what is your purpose for me? What is your positive intent for me? It's probably going to tell you something like, there's something going on or something that's going to happen that you need to be prepared for. And so I want to share with you one of the times that I really had a lot of fear, and I was able to meet that with understanding. My daughter, whenever she was a senior in high school, she was going to prom. Now, I had never been to prom. Okay, I've heard stories about prom, but I started getting really scared. I started coming up with all these scenarios of what was going to happen and that my daughter was going to get hurt and I wasn't going to be prepared. And knowing that whenever I go into fear, I know that means there's something I'm not prepared for. And according to my human design chart, I'm a 1-3, okay? So I need to investigate. And I was doing a lot of investigating about what my daughter was going to experience, what could happen to her. And it really scared me. So I started going for a solution. First, I talked to, I contacted all her doctors. I was like, hey, if anything happens, where is the best hospital that my daughter can go to? I want to know if, like, worst case scenario, she gets in a car accident on prom night, which hospital should she go to? Which are the hospitals best for this? Where's the best plastic surgeon? Like, worst case, just tell me everything, okay? And so they gave me all their opinions about the best hospitals and the doctors and where to go and this, that, and the other. So then I felt really prepared. I had her insurance. I had all of that ready. Next, I was like, what if she gets arrested? What if she gets pulled over and worst case scenarios, there's alcohol in the car or drugs in the car? What will happen? So I talked to a lawyer and I was like, what could happen? What does she do? What does she not do? How does she handle talking to the police? And essentially I got this script that after talking to a few lawyers, I got a script of what to say, what not to say, how to handle it, who to call, what not to call. I got a lawyer that on retainer, a small retainer, because we didn't know what was going to happen. But worst case scenario, I had to be prepared. You know, I felt like I had to do this to protect my daughter. She was not thinking about this. She could care less. She was having fun. She was excited about what she was going to wear and who she was going to go with and what they were going to do after prom. Well, after prom, they went into, and I live in near Houston, Texas, and they went to Galveston, which is a beach about 2 hours away from us. And that scared me because she's 2 hours away from me. So I got a hotel there and she stayed with her friends. We didn't see each other the entire time. I texted her a little bit. She texted me, letting me know that she was okay. But she had a lot of fun. Everything was fine. But she was prepared. She knew which hospital she needed to go to. She knew which doctors that she wanted to request. She knew what to say. We practiced her getting pulled over by police, what she should say, how she should say things. She knew where her registration was and her license and everything was up to date. And having that level of preparedness, it also helped her have a great time, but also helped me let her have a great time. And I had told her, look, I'm going to be here in Galveston. If you need me, I'm here. If you don't, then just pretend I'm not here. I'm not going to go follow you. I'm not going to go chase you around or anything. But if anything happens in Galveston, I want to be here and I want to be prepared for that. And we were very prepared. Thankfully, nothing happened. And I got to enjoy myself because I was prepared. And that fear was the beautiful message that was giving me the awareness that, hey, you need to prepare for this. You need to start looking into what could happen and what, and how to be prepared for that. And the more fear that I had, the more prepared it led me to be. And the more prepared I was, the less fear I had. And that was also my signal that I was doing things correctly, that I was doing what I needed to do in order to find the solution for my fear. Okay. The next emotion that I want to talk about is frustration. And if you're a generator type, then you are going to experience frustration as part of your life. Frustration in human design is a part of the learning curve. When, generator types are designed to achieve mastery. And whenever in order to achieve mastery, there's a bit of redundance to doing something over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that creates a lot of frustration. And that frustration sometimes makes generators quit before they should, and they never achieve that mastery. But if you learn to listen to that frustration, it might be telling you, hey, mastery is right around the corner. Whenever we get frustrated, our brain believes we could be doing better than what we actually are. And so that message is a message of appreciation and awareness, like, hey, how could I be doing better? How could I be doing this better? If you're not a generator type, you could still experience frustration. And that message is your brain telling you, hey, you could be doing better. And whenever you sit with that and you appreciate that message, then you start looking for, hey, how can I do better? And that leads you to doing better or experimenting with different ways so you can find what is better and what isn't better, okay? The next emotion we're going to talk about is guilt. We all experience this, and I've experienced guilt, I don't know about y'all, since I was a kid, okay? So this is an emotion that I've lived with as long as I can remember, right? I've had guilt at a young age. And it's something that, again, I can meet now with understanding and appreciation, because that guilt is telling me that I've broken one of my own rules. That's why we feel guilty. And if you're not clear about what your rules are, that's also really going to be supporting you to be like, oh, okay, so I broke one of my rules. What rule was it? Oh, well, I yelled at my daughter. Well, I guess that kind of goes against my rule of, respecting my kids. And when you realize that, oh, you get more and more clear about what your rules are, you can share your rules with your family. You can share your rules with your kids, and they can learn to share their rules with you, the parent. And now you're clear about what your rules are, and you'll start to, one, feel guilty less because no, I can't do that. That goes against my rule for myself, my own standards. And you can also understand what your children can also understand what their standards are, and that might change as they grow older, as they go through different life cycles. Their rules are going to change, and they, as long as they know, like, okay, actually my rules have started to change. Used to, I didn't really care how my friends talk to me. Well, now as I get older, I really care how they talk to me, and I don't like this. And they start sharing their rules with their friends, and they develop these functional, healthy relationships as they grow into adulthood that carry with them throughout their life because they're aware of what their rules are, okay? Anger. This is a really big emotion. It's incredibly powerful. You can literally lose your mind in a fit of rage or anger. And I am speaking from experience, okay? Anger means that an important rule that you have has been violated, either by someone else or by you. Okay, so when you're getting angry, it's because you have this rule and it has been broken. And if somebody else broke your rule or you broke your rule, you need to get clear about what your rules are, and you need to share those with the people that you're going to be in a relationship with. And as you begin to get more clear, they start getting clear about what their rules are. Okay, well, that's your rule. Well, this is my rule. Now that you have these clear expectations and these clear rules laid out, imagine how healthy and functional and loving and respectful these relationships are going to be, right? Hurt, and I'm not talking about the physical hurt, the emotional pain of feeling hurt. That happens when an expectation hasn't been met. And again, when we're not talking about our expectations, when we're not even clear about what our expectations are, and then all of a sudden we're feeling hurt, that's really going to be a kind and gentle message that, hey, you had an expectation. It didn't get met. Let's start getting clear about what our expectations are. So that way in the future, we can support our the environment, the situation, and the people that we're in by letting them know what our expectations are. And my son, who's a projector, he has part of the collective circuitry. And if you know in human design, the collective circuitry has to do with expectations, okay? And if you are emotionally defined through the collective circuitry, like my son, if your expectations don't get met, you come crashing down. And so when my son wants to spend time with me, he'll say, okay, these are my expectations. I want to go with you here, and I don't want to have like 5 different errands. I only want to go to this one location. I want to get this one thing, and I want to listen to my music on the way there and on the way back. And then I'll say, okay, and here's my expectations. And I need to stop at a few places. So how do you want to handle this? Like, do you want to go with me now? I need to run these errands by this certain time so I can we can do this later tonight, or we can do it now. We can just mesh everything together. What do you want to do? How do you want to handle it? And when we're clear about our expectations, guess what? We have a great time. There are times that we don't talk out our expectations, and I put on, something that I want to listen to. And he gets really upset, and he's not telling me. And I'm like, hey, I noticed that your behaviors change a little bit. Is there something that is going on? Do you have an expectation that we haven't talked about? And he's like, yeah, I wanted to listen to my music. I'm like, oh, well, I really wanted to listen to this. What are we going to do? We have these competing expectations, but being aware and tapped in and tuned in to, hey, if I can see by his behavior and his body language, he's changing, is that an expectation? What's going on? And we can fix that. We can do it together in respectful, loving ways, instead of just be like, oh, whatever, what's bothering you? Oh, you're in such a bad mood all the time. Oh, anytime I want to listen to something, we never can do it. That's sometimes the things I used to say before I did this, right? Before I knew how to meet these emotions with understanding. The next emotion that I want to talk about is disappointment. And disappointment's message is an expectation that you have is probably not going to happen. Now, as parents, you're going to face a lot of disappointment, okay? Doesn't mean that just because you have this expectation, it has to get met. In my house, we have 4 different personalities competing with each other, and we all have different expectations, and they don't always line up. And sometimes you get disappointed. I get disappointed about the choices that my kids make, or my kids get disappointed about the choices that I make. And so being able to talk about that and understand, like, hey, I had this expectation, it didn't get met, that really disappointed me. And the more that we can share expectations and understand, like, hey, I understand that you're upset. I understand that you're disappointed, and I would be too, because I've been in your shoes, and empathizing with your child instead of just saying, oh, well, dismissing their hurt and their disappointment and the expectations that didn't get met is really going to support them to being aware of their emotions instead of numbing out to them. The next emotion I want to talk about is inadequacy. Inadequacy's message is you currently don't have a level of skill needed for a situation. And that is one of the things I felt a lot of time as I'm parenting. So how do I deal with that, right? You're going to say, okay, I don't have the skill that I need in this situation. How do I get that? Who already has that skill? Who can I model? Who can I learn from? What book can I read so that I can develop that skill? Because parenting is a skill. Parenting used to be something that was passed down from generation to generation. It wasn't something that you necessarily had to learn. But as women started entering the workforce, the skill of parenting, it's kind of got interrupted, and it didn't get passed on the way that it had generations before us. And so understanding that parenting is a skill, and you can learn it. It's not something that you're not necessarily innately born with, okay? It's something that you can develop and evolve. I know I certainly have. And And so anytime that you have inadequacy, instead of numbing that out and blocking it out, understand the message that it has for you. Understand the gentleness that it's trying to share with you and support you. Okay, this is your support system saying, hey, you don't actually have that skill level that you need, and go get it. And you can do that. The next emotion that I want to talk about is loneliness. Anytime that we feel lonely, it's because we need a connection. Now, there's probably a lot of that going on right now. We can't hug each other. We can't kiss each other. I'm very tribal. So my kids, they are more, they have a lot of individual circuitry. I have tribal circuitry. And so I love hugging and kissing. And I've said, look, I'm not going to kiss y'all anymore. Okay. They don't kiss me. Okay. They're too old for that. But I was like, look, guys, I don't even feel comfortable kissing y'all right now. I'll just give y'all hugs. Okay. No kissing. And starting to feel lonely, because we do need connection. Humans are very social beings. And right now we're being asked to stay home and to be isolated. It's hard and it's difficult. We need variety. We need to feel that love and connection whenever we can't be with our friends. When, I have workout partners and going to dinners at my friend's house, those things I can't do right now. And so, yeah, I just feel lonely. So where are you going to find that connection? Where are you going to be able to make a new connection, in a new way, instead of going to a friend's house for dinner? Maybe you're going to have to get on the phone, do some FaceTime and some, Zoom call time or whatever, so that everyone can meet together. Or maybe you start a Facebook group. My cousins and I, we all got on Facebook and we're chatting and we're talking about all the crazy stuff that we're watching on Netflix, and we're talking about what's going on in the world, and we're talking about this, memories of whenever, my grandma was around, and this and that, and it's been great. I feel a deeper connection with them. These are people that I see probably 2 to 3 times a year. And now that I'm talking to them in a regular way, I feel more connected to them. All right, overwhelm. This is a big one, right? Especially as parents, or if you have a job, right? You're going to experience overwhelm. An overwhelm's message is that you need to reevaluate what's most important to you in the situation that you're in. And as you reevaluate what's going on, you can say, okay, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, and then take action from that. And that gives you a foundation of confidence and competency. Okay? Now, when we understand our emotions, we can teach our children to understand their emotions. And we can listen to them instead of numbing our emotions out, right? And remember, you want to support your child in experimenting and exploring how to deal with their emotions and self-soothe during this time. If they don't know how to calm themselves down, you can support them in that. If you might want them to say, okay, now I want it to be your turn. You practice. And here's a really cool technique. Get your kids to teach you something. Okay. Now, what I do, I have a son who's a projector, and we know that he needs invitations. And so one of the things that we'll do is give him invitations on purpose, because we know this about each other. And so whenever I'm feeling really overwhelmed or my emotions are feeling really big, I'll go to him, because he can focus in and hone in on me, and he knows what's going on and what's wrong, and he knows the best solution for me, and I trust him implicitly. So I'll go to him and I'll ask him for support. I'll say, hey, I feel really overwhelmed right now. I don't know what to do. Do you have the time right now to help me with this, or can we make time later today? He will come to me, he'll help, he'll calm me down, and when you ask for their support, guess what? Then the next time they get upset, they're more willing to come to you for support, because they know that you trust them. And also, you can feed back the techniques that they gave you to them. So, whenever you're asking your child questions about what do you think you should do in this situation, or how do you think you should calm down, when children can focus on another person, they can give you advice, and later you feed that advice back to them. So for example, my son, he helps me calm down a lot. Okay, I'm not like a super stressful person, but sometimes, I get a little upset or disappointed. And so I ask my son, my projector son, for help to calm me down. And he'll always do the deep breaths. That's his go-to. Mom, deep breaths through the heart. And that works. And he'll tell me stuff that I need to hear, that I want to hear, like, you're doing such a good job, Mom. We all appreciate you, and we calm down together. And he feels powerful. He feels in control, not only being able to help me calm down, but of himself, because he knows that we see him as someone who can help, someone who can contribute. And what's more is, if he's getting upset, we can use the same techniques that he shared with us, or me, with him. Okay? Letting your child teach you something is very powerful. Giving them the reins, it allows them to feel valuable and to make a contribution. And done right, parenting is more fun, more rewarding, more fulfilling than anything you ever do. And I might be a little biased because I do have 3 kids, but over the years, I've watched about, I've talked about, I've listened to, I've experimented with, I've discovered amazing and really crappy parenting techniques. And I think we've all learned there is no one size fits all. Each kid has a different temperament. They may be similar, but this one technique that works with one child doesn't work with the other. If I ask my manifester for help with something, he's like, oh, do it yourself. I can do it myself. Why can't you do it yourself? And so understanding not every kid wants that, in our family unit has changed. It's not the same as when your parents were raising you or their parents were raising them. As I said before, parenting used to be something that was passed down from generation to generation, and that's really changed and transformed. And the formula to success is continuing to hone your parenting skills. And yes, I do believe parenting is a skill. It can be learned. It can be developed, because I've done it myself. And those who use old, outdated parenting paradigms like intimidation, fear, shame, guilt, rewards, bribes, humiliation, spanking, grounding, I've used every single one of those. Okay, I'm speaking about myself here. Okay, I have used those, and I've learned how to not use those because they don't work. And all they do is they break down my relationship with my child, and that's not what I want. That will not bring out the best in your child. It won't bring out the best in you. And you want to bring out the best in your child and show your child their gifts and how to embrace their gifts and recognize the gifts that they have within them. And that's why I launched the Mommy Hacks Parenting class. And in it, you're going to discover how to increase your child's confidence, your child's self-esteem with simple techniques you can do every day. In this class, you're going to discover the secrets to improve communication with you and your child. And by the way, these work on adults too, not just children, okay? And I can attest that my daughter has great relationships. Her friends are very respectful and kind because she knows how to set boundaries. She knows how to use these techniques that I'm teaching in this class, okay? These techniques will deepen the understanding of your child and show them how to find and embrace their gifts. That way, you, the parent, you are the secret sauce to having happy, healthy kids that are peer pressure resistant and have high self-esteem. And right now, this class is $19.95. So it has 9 modules in it, and that includes about 6 different handouts and PDFs. I want everyone to have as much information as they can. We're also going to have a live Q&A, and so everyone can go through the course And then ask me any questions. Tell me about any challenges that you're facing in parenting. Parenting isn't something you do alone. Okay? It does take a village. And so I want to make sure that you'll have that support. And this class is going to help you so that you learn how to get the support and you learn how to support your family. And that gets passed on from your children to their children. You create a generation in your family, a legacy of great communication, healthy, happy, confident children that are successful, that know how to understand their emotions, but also know how to navigate life, even when it's constantly changing like it is now. So let me see if anyone has any questions. Sorry, my slides did not work. I am going to send those out in the replay, so y'all will have all the information on the slides and the other links. Cindy, is there anyone who has any questions?
We haven't had any questions come up, no.
Okay,
Although I found
great.
it very interesting. I mean, I can see where it would be not just with kids or with older kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works with adults too.
So
Mommy Hacks SP. KristinShorter.com/
MOMMYHACKSSP.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. Thank y'all and have a great week. And if anyone has any questions, I'm also going to have my email. Y'all can email me questions about the class or any questions about today. I'll be on the Facebook page answering questions if y'all post any on there.
Mary Kay asked, please repeat the pricing information.
It is $20, $19.95. And it has 9 modules that are pre-recorded. It has about 6 different handouts, and we're going to do a live Q&A after you go through the program. So,
well, thank you.
Thank y'all so much, and I am praying for y'all. I'm sending out good vibes to everyone in the world who's going through this. Me and my family, we do that together every night. And so I love y'all, and I hope this is having some positive impact on y'all in some way.